The gift you think you have is not your actual gift. You may have spent years believing your spiritual ability was your intuition, your sensitivity, the way you seem to sense things before they happen. And those things may be real. But tomorrow, something happens that doesn't happen quietly. The sun leaves the shadows of Cancer and enters Leo, and for 1 month, the entire sky turns a spotlight directly onto whatever you've been hiding. This is not a gentle shift. Leo does not whisper. Leo demands to be seen, and whatever you've kept small, kept quiet, kept folded away out of fear of being too much, Leo season is about to drag it into the light whether you feel ready or not. Stay with me. There are 4 shapes this gift can take once the sun crosses into Leo, and by the end you will know exactly which one is about to be forced into the open. Your gift does not look the same in every season, and the moment the sun crosses into Leo, it stops letting you keep it in the dark. For the last month, under Cancer season, this gift may have felt almost invisible, tucked away, protected, only shown to people you already trusted. That was never weakness. That was the gift gathering strength somewhere quiet before it had to hold weight in the open. Leo season ends that hiding period, whether you feel ready or not. So let's go through the 4 shapes carefully, because the one that's about to activate in you probably already has a history of showing up in ways you talked yourself out of noticing. The gift of magnetism. If people are drawn to you before you've said a single word, if rooms shift when you walk into them, if strangers remember your face longer than they should, this is your shape. And Leo season is about to turn the volume up on it whether you invite that or not. This is not vanity. This is the sun itself, at full strength, moving through the one sign built entirely around presence. You will not be able to disappear into the background this month, even if you try. This shape often gets misunderstood by the person carrying it. You may have spent years assuming people were just being friendly, or that you happen to get lucky with good timing, or that the attention you draw is circumstantial rather than something coming from you. Under Leo season, that explanation stops holding up. You'll notice it in small, almost uncomfortable ways. A stranger holding a door a beat longer than necessary, a room quieting slightly when you walk in, someone remembering a detail about you from a conversation you'd forgotten having. Magnetism doesn't require effort from you. It requires you to stop explaining it away. The gift of creative fire. If ideas come to you fully formed, if you've built things, art, plans, performances, whole worlds almost without trying, this is your shape. Leo rules raw creative force, and under this season that force stops being optional. What you've been quietly making in private is about to demand an audience. Ignore it and it will not go quietly. It will get louder the longer you suppress it. This shape usually reveals itself through frustration before it reveals itself through pride. You may have noticed a restlessness lately, unfinished projects nagging at you at odd hours, an idea you keep returning to even though you've told yourself there's no time for it. That restlessness is not a distraction from your real life. Under Leo season, it becomes very close to the center of it. The sun does not care whether the timing is convenient, it only cares whether the fire gets used or wasted. The gift of leadership. If people keep placing you at the front, asking you to decide, to lead, even when you never asked for the position, this is your shape. Leo season does not reward hesitation, it exposes it. If you've been shrinking your authority to make other people comfortable, this month is going to make that shrinking feel unbearable. This shape is often the hardest one to claim because leadership rarely feels like a gift while you're the one holding it. It feels like pressure. It feels like being the person everyone looks at when something goes wrong, even when you didn't ask to be that person. But notice how often you've been the one who ends up deciding anyway, even in rooms where you tried to stay quiet. That pattern isn't coincidence. Leo season is going to make it increasingly difficult to hand that role off to someone else because the role was never actually theirs to take. The gift of unapologetic self-expression. If your instinct has always been to say the true thing, wear the bold thing, take up the space others are too afraid to take, and you've spent years talking yourself out of it, this is your shape. Leo season is the most dangerous month of the year to keep pretending you're smaller than you are. The sun is not asking you to perform confidence, it's asking you to stop hiding the confidence that was already there. This shape often gets buried under years of being told to tone it down, dress it down, say it more diplomatically. You may have learned a long time ago that being fully yourself made certain people uncomfortable, and you adjusted accordingly. Leo season has no patience for that adjustment anymore. It will keep placing you in moments where the polite, smaller version of your response simply will not come out, where the true sentence arrives before you can edit it, where the bold color goes on before you can second-guess it. This is why comparing your gift to someone else's this month will only mislead you. One person's gift roars. Another's builds quietly until it can't be contained. Another leads without asking. Another simply stops apologizing. None of these are lesser than the others. Leo season isn't creating these gifts. It's refusing to let you keep hiding them any longer. And if more than one of these shapes felt familiar as you were listening, that's not confusion. Most people carry a primary shape and a secondary one, and this season has a way of activating both at once.
One of the most dramatic signs this gift is activating under Leo season is that you'll find it almost impossible to stay invisible, even in situations where you used to disappear on purpose. You'll speak up in the meeting you'd normally sit through in silence. You'll wear the color you'd normally leave in the closet. You'll say the true thing instead of the comfortable thing. And instead of regretting it, you'll feel something closer to relief. This is not you becoming reckless. This is the sun, at the height of its own power, refusing to let your gift stay folded up in the corner of the room anymore. There's a second layer to this sign that's easy to miss if you're only watching for the big, obvious moments. Watch for the small compulsions too. The urge to post the photo you'd normally delete, to send the message you'd normally leave in drafts, to walk into a room and simply take up your full physical space instead of shrinking your shoulders and your voice to match everyone else's comfort level. None of these feel dramatic while they're happening. They feel like small, almost embarrassing impulses. But add them together over the course of a single week, and you'll notice a pattern. You're being pulled again and again out of the background and toward the front of the room.
You may also notice this activation showing up as impatience, a sudden low tolerance for situations that ask you to dim yourself, a conversation where you're expected to defer, a dynamic where you're expected to make yourself smaller so someone else can feel bigger. Under an ordinary month, you might have absorbed that quietly. Under Leo season, it will start to feel almost physically uncomfortable, like wearing a shirt 2 sizes too small. That discomfort is not you becoming difficult. It's the gift refusing to keep folding itself into a shape that was never built to hold it. The fastest way to burn this gift out during Leo season is to let it become only about being seen. Leo's danger is not humility, it's hunger. The moment this gift becomes only about applause, only about being admired instead of being real, the fire that made it powerful starts consuming the very thing it was meant to illuminate. You can still get attention, you can still command a room, but underneath it, something starts to feel hollow, because a spotlight pointed at an empty stage is still just an empty stage, dressed up louder. There's a second danger this month, quieter than the first, but just as costly. Comparison dressed up as ambition. Because Leo season pulls so many people toward visibility at once, it becomes tempting to measure your own spotlight against everyone else's, their following, their confidence, their apparent ease in a room. The moment you start needing your visibility to outshine someone else's instead of simply being true to what you carry, you've handed the gift over to insecurity wearing a louder costume. Leo in its healthiest form does not need to be the only fire in the room. It only becomes dangerous when it starts needing to be. A third danger, easy to miss because it looks like confidence from the outside, using visibility as a substitute for actual substance. Being seen is not the same thing as being solid. If the performance gets louder while the foundation underneath it gets thinner, this season will eventually expose the gap, usually in front of exactly the audience you were trying hardest to impress. The test this month is not whether you can be seen, it's whether what's underneath the spotlight is actually real.
The person who tried to shrink you may have played the biggest role in building this gift you're about to step into. Every time someone tried to convince you that you were too much, too loud, too visible, too confident for their comfort, they were reacting to something in you that was already this large. Their discomfort was never proof that you needed to be smaller. It was proof that your fire was already burning brighter than they knew how to stand next to. Think about the specific shape of that discomfort, because it usually tells you exactly which version of this gift they were reacting to. If they mocked your ambition, that was your leadership shape, making them feel their own hesitation more sharply. If they rolled their eyes at your creative ideas, that was your creative fire exposing how little risk they were willing to take themselves. If they accused you of seeking attention simply for existing fully in a room, that was your magnetism making itself impossible to ignore and impossible for them to compete with quietly.
This does not make what they did to you acceptable. It means it failed completely. You were supposed to come out of it dimmed, quieter, more careful about how much of yourself you let show. Instead, look at where you're standing now, right at the edge of a season built entirely around the thing they tried to talk you out of. Leo season is about to show you that the exact thing they tried to extinguish is the thing that's now impossible to put out. Every attempt to shrink you simply taught your fire how to survive without their approval, which was the one thing it was never actually going to need. Two things keep this gift from turning destructive under a season this intense: honesty and generosity with the spotlight. Honesty protects it because Leo season will hand you attention faster than most seasons do, and attention without honesty curdles into performance. If you start believing your own exaggerations just to keep the room's eyes on you, the gift stops being real and starts theater. This is a slow slide, not a sudden one. It usually begins with small embellishments that feel harmless, a story stretched slightly to land better, a version of events polished until it's more flattering than accurate. Under Leo season, that habit compounds quickly because the attention rewards it in the short term, even as it hollows out your credibility in the long term. And generosity protects it, because the most dangerous version of this gift is the one that needs to be the only light in every room. The strongest Leo season gift does not dim other people to shine brighter. It shines bright enough that it can afford to light other people up too. Watch this month for the specific temptation to interrupt, to redirect a conversation back toward yourself, to feel a flicker of resentment when someone else gets a moment of recognition. That flicker is worth noticing rather than acting on. A gift secure in its own fire does not need to compete with anyone else's. A third form of protection, less obvious than the first two, knowing the difference between confidence and certainty. Confidence says, I trust what I bring into this room. Certainty says, I cannot be wrong. Leo season will hand you plenty of the first. Guard against letting it curdle into the second, because the moment you stop being able to hear correction, the gift stops sharpening and starts calcifying. There's a strong chance this gift already forced its way into the open once before, and you talked yourself out of what it meant. Think back to a moment when you said the bold thing and it landed exactly right. A time you stepped forward when everyone else stayed silent and it changed the entire room. A performance, a decision, a version of yourself that felt almost too big for the moment. And instead of owning it, you called it luck. Called it adrenaline, called it a fluke that wouldn't happen again. Maybe it was a presentation you weren't supposed to be ready for, and somehow you spoke better than you ever had. Maybe it was a moment you finally said no to something you'd tolerated for years, and the room didn't fall apart the way you'd feared it would. It actually respected you more. Maybe it was simply a photograph, a performance, a piece of work you almost didn't share, and the response to it surprised you enough that you still remember exactly where you were standing when you saw it land. At the time, you likely explained it away quickly because it didn't repeat itself the very next day and you assumed that meant it wasn't really yours. That's an easy trap under any season, but it's an especially easy trap under Cancer season specifically, which just spent the last month asking you to retreat, to protect, to stay small and safe. So even if this gift showed itself clearly a few weeks ago, you may have tucked the memory of it away along with everything else you were protecting. It wasn't a fluke. It was this gift testing the door before Leo season kicked it fully open. If a memory like that keeps resurfacing for you this week, that isn't nostalgia. That's the sun getting ready to finish what that moment started. The first real sign this gift is becoming active this month may not be anything happening around you. It may be a change in how loud your own doubt has been this month. Something that used to make you shrink may suddenly feel smaller than you are. A room that used to intimidate you may suddenly feel like yours to walk into. This is the sun's own confidence beginning to burn through the doubt before your circumstances have even caught up. Before the world sees this gift, you have to stop arguing with it internally first. Watch, over just the next few days, for a specific kind of quiet you may not have felt in a while. Not numbness, but a settling. A voice in your head that used to rehearse every sentence twice before you said it out loud may go quiet on its own. A worry about being judged for taking up space may simply stop showing up in situations where it used to arrive automatically. None of this requires effort from you. It is the internal machinery of self-doubt losing its grip, a little at a time, as the sun moves into the sign built specifically to burn through it. This matters because a gift this visible cannot be carried by someone still arguing with themselves about whether they deserve to hold it. Before Leo season changes anything external in your life, it is first quietly clearing out the internal argument that's been keeping you smaller than the gift actually is. Most people miss this gift for one dramatic reason. They spent so long being told that visibility is dangerous that when the opportunity to be fully seen finally arrives, they flinch and call it arrogance instead of recognizing it as the truth. They wait for permission that Leo season was never going to give them, because Leo season doesn't ask permission. It simply turns the light on and waits to see who steps into it. Comparison is the fastest way to lose this gift this month, watching someone else command a room and assuming their fire is bigger than yours, when in reality yours has just been sitting unlit far longer than theirs. There's a second reason people miss it, and it's subtler. They assume a real gift has to feel effortful to be legitimate. If something comes easily, if the room simply turns towards you without a struggle, if the idea arrives without you forcing it, some part of the mind quietly dismisses it as too simple to be significant. Under Leo season specifically, that instinct works directly against you, because this is the one season where the gift is often supposed to feel almost embarrassingly natural. The ease is not proof it isn't real, it's proof it was always yours to begin with. A third reason, and maybe the most common one, people wait for the right moment to claim it, a moment that feels earned, deserved, appropriately humble. Leo season does not deal in right moments. It deals in whichever moment you happen to be standing in when the sun turns the light on, ready or not. The people who miss this gift entirely are usually the ones still waiting for an invitation that was never coming, because the invitation already arrived the instant the sun crossed into Leo. This gift may still feel too big to claim right now, and that doesn't mean it isn't already yours. Keep paying attention to where you've been shrinking out of habit, not necessity, and watch how much of that shrinking simply isn't required anymore. Notice which rooms suddenly feel easier to walk into fully, and which relationships suddenly feel harder to keep shrinking yourself for. Notice which ideas keep resurfacing even after you try to talk yourself out of them. None of that is random this month. It is the shape of your gift finally being handed back to you in exactly the size it was always meant to be. Leo season is not subtle and it is not patient. Step into the light on your own terms before it decides to do it for you. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.